Okay, welcome to my TikTok live. I am coming live from Albania. I got the lo-fi on, we're just chilling. But I am here to talk about everything Albanian as far as living here as an American, what to expect, what to get used to. It is a lot going on. So, whew, living in Albania as an American, it's some adjusting. So the first thing was, why did we choose Albania? So initially, my adopted dad was getting his citizenship in Italy, but we were so excited to not excited to leave America, but we were just ready for a change. And we realized that as American citizens, and if you're American, if you're from the UK, or if you're from Canada, you can actually go and live in Albania, live here for like 1 year. It's called a tourist visa. And then after that, you need to apply for a residency permit. But with a tourist visa, you can have a place to live, of course. You have your 1 year driver's permit. You have to get that back in your home country though. And then, yeah, you can pretty much kind of do what a citizen does, except obviously you can't vote and everything like that. So, so that was one of the reasons. So until that happens, until we get the confirmation about the Italian citizenship, we are living here in Albania, and I can't complain. It's pretty nice. I really really like it. So, hi, welcome to everybody who's in the live and just going in and out. What's up? Hi. Again, I'm an American living in Albania. If you have any questions, feel free to just ask. You can ask me anything because I'm not going to make it too perfect. Like, it is what it is. So, one of the other things that surprised me about living in Albania is like the way everything looks. Personally, when you look at pictures of Albania, you see like a lot of like coastal areas, or you see like, of course, like the blue water. Like they have this thing called the Blue Eye, which is awesome and it's really nice. But I didn't really know that there was like a city part of the country until obviously you go to the capital, which is amazing. So when we got to the city part, or like the main area, it was nice. It was nice. It was very modern. Like, even when I go outside sometimes, I can see that they're still building stuff. Like, they're still making it like, I don't know, like they're still making it look so good. And that was something that was surprising to me, because I only thought certain things existed in one area. And that's why it's good for people to get out of their country. And no, I do remember. I don't know why your thing is. Yeah, I do remember you. I don't know why you're like cut off. I'm sorry. Okay, so what's up? So anyway, a long time from high school, right? So what was I saying? Man, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so living in Albania is very, very interesting. One of the things that did kind of like get me was the time difference. I now have to like text my friends, like my midnight is their like late afternoon, like dinner time. So it was a little hard to adjust with that. And so I'm choosing to talk to my friends mostly through social media now, because texting them is just going to be disrespectful. And like, gives, I'm texting them during their dinner time, and then when they text me back, I'm sleeping. So what's next here? Okay, so we have the cost of living. Everybody says when you leave the United States, it is like a lower cost of living, and that is very, very true. It is like, yes? No, I'm on live. Hi. It's okay. Like I said, I'm here with my family, so I have it on now. So, like I said, we're all here together, and we're all just making the best of it. And so, the cost of living is like a lot less than what you would expect. Usually for something like where we are now, I don't want to go into like too much detail, but it is pretty modern. Something like this might be about 4 or 5K, but like these where we are right now, it ranges from like 900 to like 1100, which is it's a lot less. But you don't have to suffer for it. It's not like you're worried about the walls falling down or like lack of like heat or something like that. And like anywhere, when the rain pours, you may get like a brownout or a blackout, but it's nothing different from what you would expect if you come from a more westernized country. And then the food, let me tell you something. Not only is the food good, but like the cost of food is very, very low. Like I made some videos on YouTube about it, but the food is a lot less pricey and you get a lot more. Like, I don't know if I have like one of my receipts from today, but I had like a $9 breakfast and I had like this big, like this amount of like hot tea. And then I had like a big crepe or crepe. I'm not sure the way they call it over here, but I call it crepe. And it was very interesting because the crepe was not only just like, of course, obviously what you see, like the flat piece of like bread or whatever, but it's like, it was filled with chicken, like tomatoes, cheese. It was very, very, very rich, very, very rich. And that's one of the things I liked about it. When you come to Albania, you get a lot of different styles of food. Like, the only time I knew about crepes was when I went to IHOP. For those of you who are in America or in a place that has IHOP. They do not have IHOP here, but that was the first and last time I ever had a crepe. So anyway, so we talked about rent, we talked about food, utilities. Like I said, I am here with my family, so I just get the information that they tell me regarding like the payments. But utilities like water, our stove is like electric, so we don't have to worry about like gas or anything like that. But like water, internet, things like that, like it's not expensive at all. It's like less than like $100 for all of them. And you still get the same quality, obviously. Like, I hope that the network is good because I see that you still get a clear network. You still get access to things. Now, thankfully, I came to Albania after the TikTok ban was lifted from Albania because TikTok was mostly banned in Albania for a long time. I think they had a longer ban than we did back in the United States. So I'm glad I came here when I did because I would have been like, oh my God, what am I doing without TikTok? So yeah, living in Albania is pretty unique. It is pretty, it's interesting. And another thing is the phone. The phone bill per line, it's like $22. Not dollars, but they call it like Albanian lek or lek. And it was not expensive at all. $22 is pretty good for one line. And that line includes like unlimited calls, text, internet. You also get international calls with that. And $22 a month is not bad. So I'm pretty happy. But, and the last thing, what did I cover? Okay, we already talked about the phone bill. All right, so next, I'm moving through these pretty fast. So if anybody has a question, you just let me know. You can ask me anything. It is A-okay. So the biggest thing was family reactions. Because nowadays when you do anything, even when you go off to college, sometimes family is tripping. But family reactions, they were mixed a little bit. Obviously, I'm here with my mom and my adopted dad. But when it comes down to my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, they all had kind of like a mixed idea. And I go into it, I don't know if anybody is subscribed to my TikTok page, but if you are, there is an exclusive video where I talk about what happens when you have a death in your family and you're abroad. Because I figured I would share that with you guys. I have nothing to hide. So yeah, family reactions are a little different. You have the ones that are very worried. They want you to, like, of course, be okay. I've had family members like say some some really odd stuff, but I knew it was because they were worried. And the way I stay connected with my family, because now I have an Albania phone number. I no longer have a US phone number, so all my friends, this was the thing. My family, I forgot to tell them that I changed my phone number, and it was like I was getting all these like DMs from Instagram and Snapchat and even on TikTok, and they were like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just changed my phone number, but I'm good. I'm good." But I don't want to run up anybody else's phone bill, and I don't want them to run up mine. So it's best to just connect with my family through like Skype, sometimes Zoom, Google Meet, regular like, Instagram, Snapchat, like just communicating with them that way is easier because you're not running up anybody's phone bill and everybody has access to the internet. So I always have their message. I'm not in like a rush unless it's an emergency. Now, for like the more elderly people in my family, like grandparents and stuff like that, I am going to give them my number. I have, just in case, because, if they need something or something urgent, they may not be privy to Instagram and Snapchat and everything like that. So it's mostly like my cousins and my aunts who I talk to on social media. And at first I was a little like frustrated because I was like, well, I'm moving, you guys can come visit, but they kind of feel like they're not too, at this point, they feel like they're not really familiar with Albania. So they're not going to probably be in a rush to get here as much as if I told them I was going to like Italy or the UK or France, because Albania is a hidden gem. It is a hidden gem. So I'm happy that I discovered it. And as an American, you get like plenty different. Every day is a new day as an American in Albania. So, but that brings me to friends. So, friends, leaving the friends that I had in Albania, that was more tricky. So this is not the first time I moved abroad. The first time I moved abroad, I went to Italy and I stayed for a month. And then, because with that, your tourist visa as an American citizen, that ends in 3 months. But I had to come back after a month and a half because I had school. And I wanted to finish up everything, and I couldn't do it virtually because I got to the point in my schooling where I needed to go in person for an internship. So, but coming back, I was met with, both experiences were the same. So when I moved to Albania and I told the friends that I have at the time, I got some very interesting reactions. I got the friends who were, I don't want to say they were competitive, but they were very, very, it was like all of a sudden everybody else wanted to be a world traveler, which is not a bad thing. I think that friends should inspire friends, of course. And let me just take a moment to welcome everybody who's in and out of the room. I see names, some are in, some are out. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm an American living in Albania, so if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me, ask away. So we talked about what made us choose Albania, the cost of living, family reactions, and now we're talking about friends. So with the friends, like I said, a lot of my friends were saying like, oh, I want to go on this place. I want to go to that place. I want to, travel to this place and travel to that place. I want to work here. I want to work there. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with friends inspiring friends. Like, I think that's wonderful. Of course, you don't want to be the only one with a yacht. You want your entire friendship, your whole friend crew, whatever, to have a yacht, right? You want to be successful with your friends. So, but you also had the other side, and you also had the friends who were worried, and they would point out like everything negative about where you were going. And they would say, oh, did you hear that this is that? And did you hear that that is that place? And that is that place. So it was a little bit of like mixed feelings. And I can tell that there were a lot of people in my friend group that it was a little bit strange for them. And sadly, those types of friendships, they do end up fading. And I know nobody wants to hear that because they feel like, oh, if my friendship is fading, what's the point of going? Because I'll be alone. We're going to get to that later. Actually, I'm going to jot that down. So remember to talk about that later. So the friendships, they did eventually fade. But then you also got to know new people that maybe you weren't really close to, that were very supportive of your journey. And dealing with negative reactions for that, I would say that personally hurt me more than dealing with the negative things that like my family or like the extended family would say. Yeah, and because it hurt, because of course, when you go to a new country, whether you go with your family or not, you're still feeling a sense of loneliness, because especially if you're not going to a country that speaks your language most of the time. It's not like I was moving from America to Canada or America to Australia or America to the United Kingdom. It's like I'm moving to Albania, and I know that they say a lot of people speak English over here, but it's not how can I explain it? It's not the English that I'm used to. Like, you can't say, well, what do you want to do today? Da-da-da-da. Like, you can't speak in certain euphemisms. You can't speak certain slang. And sometimes you can't use like certain words because it may be perceived different. So the communication can get a little frustrating. But I don't know. You can quickly get over that once you realize, hey, you're just going to immerse yourself in their language. And so I've tried and I've failed when it comes down to speaking the Albanian language. But there's still more to go, of course, and there's still more to learn. Like everywhere I go, I like to ask the people like, oh, how do you say thank you? How do I say this word? How do I say that word? How do I say this? And they're pretty receptive to that, because I think anywhere you go, if you take the time, yes, we have a speed racing thing behind me. That's another thing. I got to talk about the cars and how automobiles are treated here, because that's like a thing in itself. But what was I saying? So once you immerse yourself in the language of, once you immerse yourself in the Albanian language, and I think in any country, they will be very appreciative because you're taking the time to get to know them. because a lot of them they speak English better than I speak Albanian, so I respect them for that. And, the least I can do is try to immerse myself in their language and in their culture. So, now, another thing is chores, daily chores in Albania. So I'm talking laundry, grocery shopping, I wouldn't say walking around is a daily chore, but I'll include that anyway, just for tonight's live. And, by the way, if you're living in New York or Pennsylvania, Connecticut, or some sort of Eastern time zone, and when you come to Albania, you'll be 6 hours ahead of what you already are. So it's probably like what? Let me figure that out, because I have no idea what time it is in New York. Okay, so they say, I still don't know what time it is. Okay, so they said in New York it is 2:20 p.m. right now. Here it is 8:20, so it's like almost 9 o'clock. So, like I said, texting your friends if you're moving abroad, especially going to a place like Italy or Albania or the UK, you will be like 5 to 6 hours ahead of your friends if they're back in the East Coast. Maybe even more if you're from the West Coast. I'm not too sure. But so when it comes down to daily chores, let's start with laundry. Laundry, let me just tell you something about laundry. I enjoy doing the laundry here, but it's a little weird. Most of the time, laundry, like the laundry machine, there's no separate room. Like when I was in America, the laundry room was in a separate place. It was either downstairs in the basement, somewhere in the kitchen, or like you had a separate closet that you opened and you had the laundry and the washing machine or the dryer, or the washing machine and dryer, whichever one. It was either next to each other or above each other, right? So it was pretty interesting because it's located in the bathroom. So where the toilet bowl sits, the laundry machine is like kind of like right in front of you, or it will be on the side of you, or wherever. It depends on where you live. But with the washing machine, because again, this is why traveling abroad is so good for you, because it teaches you to not think that your country is the only one that has modern stuff. But in Albania, the laundry machine was modern. It was the same, but it was so small. It is so small. Like, it's so small. So whereas I could do one load of laundry back in the United States, I had to do I think the other day I had to do 2 or 3 loads. And yeah, so I had to do 2 or 3 loads, and it was fine though, because they have a couple of settings on it, which is pretty good. But then you have the drying part. So if you're planning to dry your clothes while living in Albania, you got another thing coming, because there's a different process. You can't just throw it in the dryer with a dryer sheet and leave it for like 45 minutes or an hour, however long you dry your clothes. I think an hour is a little too much. But you have to actually take your stuff, and right here behind me is not just a regular window, it's like a balcony. By the way, if we get to our goal tonight, I will show you guys the view of Albania, my view of Albania. But anyway, so you have to take your clothes out of the washing machine, of course, and they're wet, and you have to hang them. Now, I know that that's not like super foreign, because I know like having family in the South, like they did that, and I know that like back in the day they used to do that, and they used to hang it on like the hanging tent that used to like go like this, I guess. But here it's like a thing that you lay out and it's like it comes up on the side. It's like a W almost. And you put your clothes on it and it dries. Now, in the Albania, wow, yep, Albania. We covered so much about that. So that's why I am. I'm currently living in Albania as an American. So when you hang your clothes, in the summer, it's great. Your clothes can dry like nothing. Your clothes will dry like nothing. And it's pretty cool. But when it gets a little cold, like it is now, I would say it says rain 56 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I don't know what that is in Celsius, so you guys are gonna have to do the math for me, but when you hang your clothes out and it's a little colder, it takes about, I would say, 2 or 3 days to dry. Like currently I have something out there that, like I have a pair of jeans out there that have been out there for, I think this is the second night. So if they're not dry by the third night, I'm gonna take a blow dryer and just, because I need my jeans. But so yeah. So we have that, and I don't know, at first, not everyone liked the idea of hanging the clothes because, when you put your clothes in a tumble dry, you get the lint out, the dryer sheets make it smell so good, everything like that. But it's a little different when you have to shake out your clothes and then hang them out to dry. But for some reason, I don't know, it makes the detergent last longer on your clothes. And you don't have to worry about your clothes shrinking. So like today, like this shirt that I have on, I literally washed it, of course, like 2 days ago. And it was done yesterday. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was 2 days ago and it was done yesterday. So thinner clothes dry out quicker than thicker clothes. Of course, a pair of jeans or maybe a blazer or winter coat is going to take a bunch of time to dry. So, I appreciate us being at 369 likes. I like that. Awesome. So, so now we talked about laundry and drying. Now we can talk about grocery shopping. So, grocery shopping is pretty cool. There's a place called Conad, and a lot of people know about it, especially in Europe, but Conad is like an Italian-based grocery store. So despite it being in Albania, everything in that store is Italian. So when you go in there, you're reading Italian labels, and that's fine. You just take your Google. I would suggest, because for some reason, when you have the Google Translate, like the Translate app, like Apple Translate, if you have an iPhone, it's like you won't find the Albanian language as an option to translate. So you have to download the Google app, and you have to go on like Google, like click the lens, and then it will help you translate everything. But if you're just translating something in Italian, you can just use your regular Translate app that comes with the iPhone. Just a little tidbit. And so when you go into a place like Conad or anything like that, you can get what you want, but I wouldn't suggest going there for everything, because you still need to get like fresh ingredients, like, lemons, cucumbers, bananas, strawberries, blueberries, whatever type of fruit or vegetable that you're into. And so where I live, and I think all of Albania, they have fruit markets everywhere. And going to a fruit market is like an everyday thing. You sometimes see people in like professional dress, like blazers and suits, going to pick up a pomegranate for their salad that they're gonna have. So it's not a bad thing, because I know that like where I came from in the United States, it was like people kind of looked down at fruit markets because they were like, oh, like who's that person like selling fruit? But like they don't look at it like that. It's very, very normal to just get fruit from a fruit market or a fruit vendor. And they can be like 10 fruit markets on the same side of the street. They don't compete with each other. You may get lemons from this person and then walk down and get more lemons from that person. It's like, it's not really like a big deal. I gotta show y'all what the food looks like one of these days, because that's what I'm gonna do for my next live, because I really gotta tell you how food actually looks like. I had no idea. And half of the things that we threw away in America, were like so necessary to keep and eat. And I can like, that can be like a whole other live, because that, it's just amazing. So we have grocery shopping. Like I said, you can go to fruit markets, and in most grocery stores are like liquor stores at the same time. So you can get your spaghetti, you can get your cake mix or whatever you would get from a regular supermarket or like whatever, and then in the back or on the side there will just be like a bottle of wine you can get, or like, you know, your gin and tonic. You can get your not Smirnoff, but like if you're into vodka, you can get that there. Like whatever you want is there. And what else can I say about the grocery shopping? Oh, you do have to pay for bags. You do have to pay for bags. I thought that was going to be irrelevant when we came over here, but you do have to pay for your bags. I think they charge like a few cents for them, but it's still like, why do I have to pay for a bag? Like, what else am I supposed to hold it in? But sometimes if you don't have like a lot of, that's what I was gonna say. When you do decide to move abroad or even travel abroad, I would recommend bringing a tote bag, bringing one specifically for food. Because when you walk down the street, you're going to see the most beautiful fruit and vegetables that you have ever seen. Now, they may not look perfect, because fruit and anything natural is not always 100% perfect. But when you see that beautiful looking apple, or those juicy looking pomegranates, or strawberries, blueberries, anything like that, you are going to want to get one, and you do not want to be charged for a bag. Now, I don't think the fruit vendors mostly do it, but sometimes they do. Especially if they have like a little like storefront, they will try to charge you for a bag. And another thing, speaking of charge, I was going to save this for my next live, but I'll do it now. You have to bring cash. I made a TikTok about this, but you have to bring cash when you come to Albania. I will say it again on my next live. I'll say it again on every live that I have to. And by the way, shout out to everybody who's in and out of the rooms. How are you doing? I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you had a good day. Hey, how are you? Hi. So, again, I'm currently living in Albania. I moved from America to Albania, so I'm just going over the things that I've experienced and just everything that's going on, from the choice I've made same here, and family reactions, cost of living, daily chores. Now we're talking about grocery shopping and the value of cash. Oh, thank you. By the way, if we do reach our goal tonight, I don't even think I made one, but if we do reach some sort of goal tonight, I will show you guys my view of Albania, because it's so beautiful at night. So anyway, so I am trying to stress the fact that you need cash. There have been times, and I made this a subscription only video, so I'm not going to really go into detail about it, but there was a really crazy situation that happened, and I could not get out of it because I did not have cash. So if you're interested in that, if you're able to subscribe to the TikTok channel, go ahead and do that. You get a 50% discount off your first month. I think it's like $2 for the first month. So if you feel like doing that, you go ahead and do that. So, but cash is king. Cash is so important to have with you because Apple Pay is going to play games with you. Google Pay might play games with you. I don't know. I don't use Google Pay, but thank you for the heart. So you have that, and then you also might have an issue with credit cards, like in the credit card machine, because me and my mom were getting our nails done, and the lady was saying how her credit card machine was not working, like at all. She even tried to call her manager and all that. And also too, they kind of pick and choose whether or not they want to take card. Because there was a situation where my adopted dad went to get something from the same lady, and then an hour later, not even an hour, like less than an hour later, I got something, and she's like, oh, we don't take card, only cash. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? So that was frustrating, but it's very important to have cash. If you absolutely do not want to use cash, I would suggest before you go into the store or the restaurant or wherever you're going, to ask them if they take card. If they do not take card and you don't want to pay cash, then you need to go somewhere else. It's very important though. I would recommend to bring cash. So, we're going to circle back to friends. So friends and loneliness. I told you I was going to write that down. So when you move to a new country or you move to an area that you're not familiar with, it's very easy to get like the loneliness bug. And I'm going to make a sub-only video about that. So I'm going to briefly touch upon this. If you choose to move out of the country, you are going to feel a little bit lonely. You feel lonely not because like you can come with like a group of people and still feel alone because you're not able to access the things that you're used to. For example, I like the malls that are over here, but they're not the same as the malls that I'm used to. You know, they don't have all the stores that I want, but they do have the stores that, you know, can do their thing and, you know, give you the clothes and stuff like that that you need. And they are, you know, they're fun to be in. So I might make a video about a walkthrough through one of the malls here in Albania. So, but you are going to feel like that hint of loneliness a little bit. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. So you are going to feel a little bit of loneliness because, again, you're not able to access everything that you're used to, but you also are going to have to deal with the fact that people don't speak your language. And when they don't speak your language, I mean, humans need to communicate. So without that communication, it can feel frustrating, it can feel isolating, and it can feel like eventually you get tired. If you do come with your family, eventually you're going to get tired of talking to the same people like over and over again because maybe you want to be more social. And it's not as easy as, you know, going to the grocery market and saying, hey, how are you today? Did you walk your dog? You know, it's like, unless you already know the language of that country, you're one step ahead. But me, I had to start off in a situation. Do you miss family? I'm glad you asked that because we talked about that in the beginning of our live. I did make a video about that and what it's like to lose a family member while you're living abroad, because I did lose a family member while like a month after I came here. But to answer your question, yes, it is natural to miss your family. Because a lot of times you do have to, thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you, Primal. But it's like you kind of have to, it's like not bittersweet because obviously it's nothing sweet about someone passing away. But you do have to realize with family and friends, a lot of people you're probably not going to see for a long time. And because life happens and people get older, they might pass on before you had a chance to spend those moments with them. But you also have to look at it like, when you're surrounded by people who love you and care about you, like no matter what, they want to see you succeed. So would you rather be where you're at and not reaching your goals because you're afraid of someone passing away or you losing that connection, or are you going to live your life? Because either way, you can go before them or they can go before you. But either way, y'all both have to live the life that you want. And that was like the hardest decision to make. It was so hard. And but eventually you find ways to stay connected to your family. Like if your family, tell them, hey, I can only communicate on WhatsApp because I no longer have a number that is a US number. So my family, we're either going to have to write each other letters, talk on Zoom or Skype or I was gonna say WhatsApp. Yeah, WhatsApp, Signal. There's so many apps that can still connect you to your family. And, you know, I think as long as you hear their voice and you know that they're doing okay, then, you know, honestly, like that's really what matters. Just keeping that connection with those people who you feel won't hinder you from your goal of moving forward. And a lot of times, a lot of us don't want to move forward because we feel like, oh, thank you for the rose. A lot of times, people don't want to leave their area because they are afraid of losing those connections, especially when you're going somewhere new, which is understandable, of course. Me being here with my mom and my adopted dad, when, just being here with them, obviously it helped, because if I was here 100% by myself, it would be a little bit tough, but it doesn't mean that you forgot everybody else, so it's just one of those choices that you have to make. You have to say to yourself, hey, I want to live the life. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment, and welcome to everyone who are in and out of the room. Thank you for being here. And we are at 2.2K likes. I like that. Awesome. So you just have to eventually make a choice and say to yourself, what's more important, holding on to connections or maybe living my life while also maintaining those connections, but in a different way. Oh, thank you. I like the heart me. So it's not an easy choice. It's not something that you can make overnight. That's why with my subs, like I try to tell you guys, like I made a specific video about that. Like, are you moving or are you escaping? Because if you're escaping, now there are some people who need to escape their country, understandable. But also the mindset, if you're not in a position where you're in immediate danger, why are you in a mindset where you're escaping? You know what I'm saying? So you really got to think about that. So yeah, just to answer your question in a very long, drawn answer. Yes, I do miss my family. I think about them all the time, but I also try to keep up the relationships with the ones that I know are there to uplift you, not hold you down. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, there's a good way of holding somebody down, but then there's a bad way of holding them down. I'm talking about like the bad way. So back to that. Another thing you can do if you want to maintain connection with your family, you can also send them things. You can send them postcards. You can send them gifts. You can send them letters, whatever you can, especially if you have a way to send like videos and pictures. Do that, because it's not like you're bragging, but you're showing them, hey, because of your support, I'm able to do this. And so that's how you kind of have to look at it. So we covered friends, family, daily chores. Again, with the daily chores, if you're not used to hanging up your clothes after you wash them, that's something you're gonna have to get used to. So, does anybody else have any other questions or anything like that? If you do, you just let me know. And then I'm also going to put this on YouTube. So if any YouTubers have any questions, you just go ahead and just ask away. Ask whatever you want. Trust me, I have nothing to hide because I want to make sure whether you're moving to China, whether you're moving to Switzerland, whether you're moving to Africa, like the continent of Africa, whether you move to Europe, everybody's going to go through the same phase. So it says, what time zone are you in? Ooh, that's so funny because I don't know, like, it's not that I don't know, but I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. But I know that I'm 6 hours ahead of everybody in New York. So New York, I think it's about 2:45 in New York right now. So it is 8:45 my time here. So I don't know if that's like GMT or EST. I mean, I know it's definitely not EST, but so however way you can calculate that, if somebody can do a quick Google search for me, you can educate me in that way because I'm learning just like you guys are. I'm still trying to get the hang of the Celsius and degrees nonsense. And I call it nonsense because every time I try to ask someone, they tell me the formula of how to do it. And I'm like, just tell me what it is. So yeah. So back to, what was I going to talk about? Oh, the loneliness. I still want to talk about that because, like I said, you can be surrounded by everybody. You can be with your homegirl or your boy and still feel a sense of loneliness because you don't know your environment. And so it can feel a little bit isolating. So I'm going to do a more in-depth video about that, but I'm going to give you a little preview of what's kind of helping me. What helped me is that I made sure I found everything that made me feel comfortable. So there's no TV, and I'm not sponsored by this, but before I left, I went on the TikTok shop and I got that Mag Cube projector. So if I want to listen to what I'm listening to now, lo-fi, or if I want to watch YouTube or watch Netflix, I'm able to use that projector and it's like a huge screen. Hi, welcome in. Okay, so I'm able to just make sure I have that comfort because without Netflix and all that, I don't know. Oh, thank you for the heart me. I appreciate it. You guys are being so generous today. So, and by the way, I am going to keep my promise. If we do, I don't even know if I set a goal, but if we reach the goal, if you guys see it on your end, probably not, but I will show you my view of Albania now because I moved from America to Albania. So again, you have to make sure that when you leave the country that you're from, make sure that you have the things that give you comfort. Like personally, I have a favorite snack. I mean, you guys would think I went to like 1,000 baseball games because I love sunflower seeds, right? So I made sure when I first came here, my first week, I was like, where can I find sunflower seeds? Where can I find da-da-da? And I found it. And they are delicious. No offense to the sunflower seeds in America, but this brand is pretty good. So from the projector, being able to watch TV and to having comforting snacks, finding a makeup store, finding, just the things that make me feel comfortable, that helped the loneliness kind of like fade away because I'm like, okay, well, at least I have the things that I'm making the best that I can with the situation. Do you have trouble finding your way around? Ooh, Primal, that's a good question. Do you have trouble finding your way around? So, No, thankfully to Google Maps and the Maps app, I don't. But the only thing that kind of trips me up is like the restrooms at a restaurant, because so far the restaurants that I have seen and been in is either like a symbol that looks the same, or it's like it says like women and men, but I don't know which one it is. So I'll usually ask the person who works there, like, hey, which one is for me? And they're like, oh, this one. And so, or that one, or wherever, whatever. So it's pretty good. All you have to do is just ask. And also, a lot of the pharmacies in Albania, like the pharmacists speak English. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. So if you want to figure out, oh, where can I find a place that sells pancakes, or a place that sells, or where can I find a clothing store? Where's the nearest mall? Like, they have no problem answering that. Even if you have to translate it, they have no problem. And it is true, kind of true, that people under 40, they most likely speak English, and or they will know to translate it. They won't just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. They will do their best to make sure that they answer your question the best that they can. It is awkward though when I'm walking down the street and someone tries to make conversation with me, and I'm just like, Aflish English. Like, I ask them the best way I can in Albanian whether or not they speak English, and then they'll say po, which is yes, or yo, which is no, and then you just go about your day. If they don't speak English, they don't speak English. But either way, it's not a problem to find your way around, as long as you are you have a translator app with you. You have like working like LTE or data to make sure that you can have access to your maps, because that was one thing that scared me when I first came here. There was a situation where the eSIM was kind of like tricky, and I used, and I'm not sponsored, so any company that I name, I'm not sponsored by them. So your experience, don't blame me, okay? But they have, I think it's called Saily, Saily, and it's an eSIM app that allows you to, of course, make calls, get the data and everything that you need, and the price is pretty good. But anyway, there was a situation where it wasn't activated correctly, and so for like the first day or two that I was here, I was like, I don't know what's going on, because every time I left because at first we were at a hotel, then we moved into an apartment. But at the hotel, as soon as I left the hotel Wi-Fi, it was like it was just a big world, and I just did not know where I was going. So that's when we did have to ask people, and we did have to kind of figure it out, and then also work out the eSIM and everything like that. But that's really no reason to panic. I mean, you're not in a situation, when you come to Albania, you're not in a situation where no one can help you. I mean, worst comes to worst, go to the police station. But then you also need to find the police station. So I would say go to the nearest pharmacy, or go to a coffee shop and just ask somebody if they speak English. And most likely they do, or they will even hand you their phone so that you can type whatever language that you speak. Most likely, most of you speak English here, so you can type in whatever you speak, whatever language you speak, and then they will translate it and then do their best to help you. So that's what I do like. I do like the hospitality here. So we did that. We talked about that. Any more questions anybody has, or anything like that? If not, we can go on to talk about, I'll go over the cost of living and everything, because I think that we didn't catch that in the beginning. So the biggest thing that people want to know about is the cost of living. Now, I'm not gonna break down an itemized list for y'all to expose all the business, but I can say that the cost of food isn't bad at all. I had like a giant crepe, and it was big. Like it was like as big as like a size 10. No, no. Think about like a size 8 men's shoe. That was like the size of the crepe, right? And so I had that plus like, like a tea, like a pretty much like 3 cups of hot tea, and it was less than $10. So, is it safer over there? That's a good question too. I like that. So, I'm gonna actually make a TikTok video about that because it is, I would say it's safer over there. Even as dark as it is, I mean, I know the light is kind of distracting, but even as dark as it is, if I go out there now, you would still see men, women, all of that, just like walking down the street like it's nothing. You don't have to worry about being followed or whatever like that. Like, you do have people, especially like the kids. You may have some kids who want to like beg for money, but it's not a lot. But a lot of times, like especially when you're in a restaurant, they'll come in and like sneak past the waiters to ask people for money. That's like not dangerous per se. It's like it's kind of a sad sight to see. Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on, y'all. Okay, so anyway, sorry, TikTok wanted me to like verify that I'm still here, even though I'm still here. So anyway, so as far as it being safe, it's not that bad at all. Like I said, you may have like, unfortunately, some people who are in need of financial assistance and they need money. You just kind of like, you just say no, like no, or if you want to give them something, you do give them something. But the thing is that when you do give them money, they will remember you, and if they see you on the street, they'll make like a beeline right to you. Like they'll walk in the middle of like moving traffic if they remember that you gave them money. Which is nothing wrong, of course. I feel like if somebody's in need, you can give it to them once, and that's good. But just tonight, I went to go pick up a bottle of wine, and then I went to go get what is it? Something from the pharmacy, and they were pretty far away from each other where I went, and it was dark, and it wasn't. I didn't feel any like sense of like feeling unsafe or anything. You just use your common sense, like don't go down an alleyway if you don't need to, and don't like if you feel like something is off, it probably is. And so just like kind of like use your best judgment in that situation. Um, and so that's another thing I want to talk about. I'm glad you brought up like safety and other people, because when you go, my experience and other people's experience, when they, and again, I'm not talking about or comparing one country to another. I'm trying not to do that. But when you go to a place like Italy, or a place like New York, you have people who will do that trick where they bump into you and then they wind up taking something from you or like ripping your bag or something like that. These people will just bump into you because they just are busy. Like you have a lot of people, like there's no personal space here. So if you're walking, somebody will walk around you. If there's a line of people crowding the sidewalk, another person, if they want to get through, they will push past you just to get through. And it could be seen as like rude. It could be seen as like a little different from what people are used to. But it's like, it's not a trick to get your money or anything like that. But I do recommend that you practice the same level of safety as you would anywhere, because that's just protecting yourself. Because my experience might be different from yours. I feel it's safe. Maybe another person may feel like it's not safe. But you have to use your best judgment and like pretty much like guard your stuff, because that's your stuff. So yeah. Anyway, what else can I talk about? Oh, dealing. Okay, are there any regrets that I feel? So, one thing that I wish is that I wish I would have bought like more comfortable clothing, like suitable for the cold weather. Because one thing you have to understand is that in Albania, it does rain a lot. Like, their winter is full of rain. Like, Albania's winter is rain, especially like in most parts of Albania. Sometimes you might get snow, like everywhere north of like any country, um, is gonna be snowy. But um, like when you're in like the center or like in the middle or middle or below, it is raining like a lot, and you'll hear thunder, lightning, which is personally my favorite. I like to hear the thunder and lightning. But other than that, like I would have brought like more rain boots. I would have bought like more things that were suitable for the colder weather, because upon my research, my personal research, and maybe I didn't do enough research, but living in Albania, it does get cold. Like, you can't expect 100% warm weather all the time. And that to me, like, I don't know. I like things to be switched up a little bit. I don't like just like plain like beach weather all day. Like, sometimes I want to get, snuggly a little bit. So, yeah. And but one of the things I do like about it is that because of the way that the area is set up and everything like that, you're still able to enjoy your life despite the rain. Now, if there's thunder and lightning, then no, I wouldn't sit next to like a metal umbrella stand. Of course not. But in those times where just like light rain and whatever, you can still have your nice like espresso, cappuccino, or warm coffee or anything like that. And well, obviously coffee is warm. And I know it's hot chocolate season in like, well, around the winter time, around this time. But the thing about it is that the hot chocolate here, I do have to mention that it is a little bit different. When I asked for a hot chocolate, they literally gave me like, it felt like a cup of melted Hershey bars, and it was so thick. It was absolutely thick, and I had to keep like diluting it with milk and like but I wound up eating it like a pudding because it was delicious. So I just wanted to tell you about that, because a lot of things with food, a lot of things that we're used to saying that we want, when you come to Albania, it will be a little bit different. Like I said, the hot chocolate, they'll give you a very small cup of thick chocolate warmed up, and that will be literally hot chocolate. Another thing that is different is that when you ask for lemon water, or if you ask for, if you say, can I have water with lemon, they will bring you a lime. And I know that in a lot of places, like, that's not seen as like a big deal. Maybe people are used to that, but where I'm from, it was not like that. It was like, when you ask for water and lemon, you get water and lemon. You didn't get water and lime. But I'm kind of glad that they did that, because they do say that lime is really, really good for your immune system, and you don't have to worry about like it being too bitter or anything like that, like a lemon would. I know I'm going back to the food again, but I just kind of want to circle back to everything that I talked about. Another thing with the food is that it is very normal for people to sit and really take like an hour or two or maybe more to finish their food in Albania. Like, when you come to Albania and you just want to sit there all day and you want to keep ordering food, like, because the prices are so low, like as far as the food, but the quality of food is so good, you don't have to worry about feeling like, oh, I better get up because the next table needs to be seated. Like, they don't do that. From what I've seen, they don't do like reservations like that. they always have room for you. And that's what surprised me, because I'm like sometimes I'll be like sitting on the balcony, and then I'll see one group of people and they're eating and talking and whatever. And then I take a nap, or 2 hours later, and you come out and you still see the same group of people. And it's nice. It's nice though to see, because no one's afraid of just sitting out there and eating. They're still going to eat no matter what weather. They're going to take time to enjoy their food. It's all about enjoying their food and enjoying the present moment. And coming from, the United States, it was like, oh, well, you have to hurry up and eat. You have to hurry up and eat before someone else, before, the next party comes in or anything like that. So, and I guess too, there is a reason why people do stay though, because most of the time you cannot get a what do you call it? You can't really get takeout. You can get takeout, like it's possible, but you can't really, how can I say it? You can't really like just be like, oh, I'll have like a tea to go. Can you give me a hot strawberry tea to go? It's like they will want you to sit there and they will want you to drink the tea. You cannot just get takeout. But I'm going to go into what takeout and delivery is like in a few minutes. But going back to this, they want you to sit there and enjoy your food, or enjoy your drink, or enjoy your tea, whatever you're having. They want you to sit there with it. In America, they wanted you to just eat as quick as you could, get up and go, because they have more and more and more people. But here in Albania, what I realize is that they want you to really take your time. And I think that's beneficial, because we've always heard that slow eating is better for your digestion. It's also a way for you to be social and meet people. So if going back to what I said earlier about maybe experiencing loneliness or the lack of a social life, if you want to make friends like that, sitting there and just enjoying your food, or, whatever, is like one of the best ways that you can, meet other people and enjoy other people's time and stuff. And it's not a big deal, because I experienced this in America, but when you eat by yourself, for some reason in America, it was seen as like such a bad thing. Um, and again, I'm not downing one country to uplift another. I'm just sharing my experiences. But coming from America, if I sat in like, I don't know, Applebee's or Cheesecake Factory, and I wanted to eat by myself, you would have everybody staring at you and like assuming that you got stood up on a date, or assuming that you're weird, or assuming that you work there. But over here, there is like, most of the people that I see that are out eating, sometimes you have like the group of people, but a lot of times you have people that just want to, they're just like chilling, like they're not really bothering anybody. They may have their laptops, they may have their work papers, like whatever they need to do, excuse me, and they just enjoy their time. It's not taboo to sit there and eat by yourself. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It doesn't mean you don't have any friends. It just means that you are just enjoying your time. And it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be in front of everybody, or it doesn't have to be like in the midst or in the company of like 5 other people. Now, if you want to do that, you can do that. It definitely can do that. But I did like the fact that I could just go out, eat something really quick, and then just go back to whatever I was doing. So, yeah. And so, what else am I going to talk about? I forgot what else I had on the list here. Oh, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Any questions are fine. I will be happy to answer them, because if I could see a live where someone kind of gave me like the breakdown, that would have helped a lot, because I was super scared about coming to a foreign country, especially because it wasn't, the main language is not English. Um, so, but like I said earlier, communicating here in Albania is not bad at all. You, worst comes to worst, if someone can not speak English at all, you just use your translator. Again, I recommend the Google app, or Google Translate, but the Google app instead of the Translate app that comes with the iPhone, because for some reason the Translate app does not have the Albanian language on it. I don't know why. So yeah, once you have the translating app, you're good though. So we talked about rent, we talked about food, utilities, and phone bill. Style of clothing. Style of clothing. I can say that the style of clothing is less strict. It's less strict than Italy. And I'm mentioning Italy because Italy is the other country that I did have experience living in. But it's not as relaxed as American style of clothing. So it's in the middle. So you can wear your leggings, you can wear your sweatpants, you can wear pants like these. Like I went out with this, but you have to make sure that you're still presentable. Like wear a nice shirt, wear a nice coat. And when it comes down to the sneakers or the shoes, you can wear heels if you're a woman, or if you're a man, if you want to wear heels, do whatever you want. But wear them to your own detriment, because the cobblestone here, yeah, I fell about 2 times since I fell about 2 times since living here in Albania, because the cobblestone is like, and especially because of all the rain. And where I live, they like to spray the sidewalk and everything like that. So you're met with a wet floor either way. So whether they're cleaning the street or if it's winter time. So I would recommend wearing some nice walking shoes. And when I say nice, I don't mean like they have to be like, like Louis Vuitton shoes or like whatever. Like they don't have to be like expensive like that, but they have to just be walkable. I have my go-to pair of white sneakers, or you can wear athletic sneakers. It is entirely up to you. But I would recommend mostly wearing like running sneakers, because they are good for support, especially when the cobblestone decides to give out on you, or if you happen to be walking in the street. Speaking of streets, we are going to talk about cars. Now, that's what I wanted to mention earlier in the live. Cars, you would think that like everybody, like you would think that it was mandatory for people to have cars, because the amount of cars that try to fit through these little streets is amazing. And the cars are not like small and cute like little Fiats and stuff. Like they're big. You have Land Rovers are a big deal in Albania, like the newer Land Rovers too. And so you see a lot of Land Rovers, you see like a lot of like those SUV type of vehicles. You don't see a lot of Toyotas or anything like that, or like pickup trucks really. I think I've only seen like 2 pickup trucks, and those are mostly for people who were doing like manual labor. Manual labor in Albania. But you see like a lot of Land Rovers. You see, I saw a couple of Audis, Mercedes, and they're not even like the older ones. They're the newer ones. And so that to me showed me a lot, because, and I knew this before we came over, but Albanians really, 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 really like their cars. Like they treat their cars like as if that was like their second wife, like, or like their main chick, because they like everywhere you go, there's always a section for car maintenance, and not even car maintenance, just car decorations. Like you have cars, you have car perfume, you have like luxury car perfume, you have like special little mats you can put in the car. Like Albanians treat their cars like most people treat their houses. Like they get them maintained, or like I said, that they treat their women like they you get them. It's a spick and span, and they're nice too. They're very, very nice. um, I did go into other things that Albanian men are passionate about, and I say the men because they're mostly the ones that I see that are driving. Not that the women can't, but it's mostly the guys that are, driving the cars and at the auto body shops, and getting their car washed like 3 times a week, like literally 3 times a week. When I had my car, like we would wash it like what, once a week, maybe. Like, or every 2 weeks if it's like the summer and, it's just nice outside. So definitely expect to see some very nice cars. Um, and most of them will have cars before they have houses. So that's very interesting to me. So, so yeah, you have cars. And again, same rule. Same rule as what you would see in like Italy, or maybe honestly most parts of Europe. They will not. Some of the people who drive will stop for pedestrians, but otherwise they'll just go zoom, zoom. Like they will just go past you. It won't even matter. Like it. It will not matter. So just make sure that when you're walking, and that's why I say walkable shoes, because if you need, or running sneakers, because if a car is coming, do not think that they're just gonna stop because they see you moseying across the street. Like you better walk. You better walk. Okay? The closest thing that I would say to people is like pretend that you're in New York, but like New York times 2. So you just gotta walk. All right? It does not matter. And so another thing that I want to talk about is delivery, the delivery system. Now, a lot of us are used to DoorDash, Uber Eats. I'm trying to think of another delivery. So Amazon Fresh, Factor. I don't know if Factor delivers, but anyway, I'm not sponsored by them. But DoorDash has a twin sister for Albania. I call it its twin sister, and it's called Wolt, Wolt. And it will pick, as soon as you have the DoorDash app, if you come over to Albania, it will pick up your IP address or your location, and it will see that you are in Albania, and it will switch you over to the Wolt app. And the Wolt app does everything that DoorDash does. So most places that are on Wolt, you can get whatever you want. Like, you can order food there, you can order pharmaceuticals, you can order wine, beer, like whatever you would do with DoorDash. Now, I don't think that Wolt does clothes. Like, I know that DoorDash will deliver clothes to you, and I don't think Wolt does that yet. They don't do clothes and cosmetics and anything like that. They mostly specialize in medicine or food delivery. So when you do that, you have to make sure, and this is another part that makes me want to go sometimes, but you have to make sure that your address is correct. Because the addresses here in Albania, as I mentioned in my previous TikTok, or one of my previous TikToks, I think, they don't have like a street number. It won't say like 123 Sesame Place. Like if you want to order something, you have to like be like, oh, can you deliver it to the blue house that's behind the pasta restaurant? Like you have to give them landmarks, because it does not matter if you live in a standalone house or a building. Like, honestly, you can get away with it if you live in a hotel, because you can say, oh, can you just deliver it to such and such hotel? Boom, there you go. But for anything else, you have to you have to kind of like describe your surrounding area for them to figure out where you are. Otherwise, you're gonna see on your Bolt app, the motorcycle guy he just keeps circling around the area, So it's very important to get your addresses straight, and it's very important to kind of know what is surrounding you so that it will make it easier for you to order food. And yeah, speaking of ordering too, unfortunately, there is no Amazon here in Albania. No Amazon at all. Hi Josh, welcome in. This is the outfit of the day. But we already covered fashion. But so because there's no Amazon, there are other alternatives that you need to use when ordering to Albania. You have companies like Temu. Everybody's familiar with Temu. You have Ubuy. Ubuy is similar to Temu. I mean, not Temu. Ubuy is similar to Amazon, but it's kind of better, because you can order from like all over the world. Like if you want to order something from Japan, you can get something from Japan. If you want to order something from the United States, you can order from the United States. But just keep in mind that a lot of the stuff, you can click on the item and then like they may say like, oh, we can't deliver it here. So you can't just assume that just because you see it on the listing on Ubuy or Temu that it will be delivered to you. So you have to be very, very careful. And that's why I say, like, before you leave whatever country you're from, it's very, 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 very important for you to bring the items that you feel are comfortable. Like, for example, if you are the type of person to get like Vaseline or Aquaphor, they're not going to give it to you over here. So you're just going to have to make sure you find an alternative, or just bring it with you before you come over to the country. So yeah, and that's one of those things that makes you feel like, oh, like, I feel so lonely. Like, there's a lot of things that you have to get used to when you come over to Albania. Now, there are some things that I have discovered in Albania that weren't in the US, and I'm going to talk about that. So earlier we discussed, like, okay, if you need to go to translate, you can go into a pharmacy and they will they most likely will speak English, so they will be able to assist you. But I did not mention that they have a lot of things in there that you don't even need to go to the doctor for, and their stuff works. Like, they give you like medical grade stuff. So for example, I covered like, if you're having like bladder issues or something like that while living in Albania, if you go to the pharmacy, like I showed you guys, like one product, I think that TikTok is coming out soon, or maybe it already came out. But if you go to the pharmacy and you ask them like, hey, I'm having stomach issues, or I'm having like bladder issues, or I'm having a headache or a backache or whatever, the things that they give you, they're so powerful and so helpful that you do not need to go to a doctor. Now, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor, because if you broke your arm, obviously you need to go to the doctor. Don't wait. Like, don't just sit there and be like, oh yeah, the pharmacist is going to help me. Like, no, go to the hospital, go to the doctor. But if you have like minor things, like you feel like you're experiencing like an upset stomach, maybe you have like jet lag, maybe you have like something like that, like they will give you um like medicine that is like, most of them are derived from like natural ingredients and plants, so you don't have to worry about um putting another chemical in your body or dealing with something fake. So it's very, 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 very helpful when you go to the pharmacy, because you just tell them, hey, I'm not feeling good. This is what's going on. And even if you don't know what's going on with you, they don't diagnose you, but they will say like, oh, maybe you're having thyroid problems. Maybe you're having sugar issues. Why don't we just give you this? And then they will also tell you to follow up with your doctor. So you don't have to worry about like, you know, being just left with some medicine without real medical advice. Um, and from my experience, like there was no need to go to the doctor because the pharmacist gave me exactly what I needed. And that is very beneficial when you go to like European pharmacies. And I would say, yeah, France, um, Italy, here in Albania, you get a lot. You get a lot of help. You get a lot of care. And a lot of times they'll do things like, if you say like, oh, I need a blood test, or I need to check my blood pressure, or I need whatever, you don't have to like schedule an entire doctor's appointment for that. You just walk in, get your test done, and then they'll like tell you on WhatsApp like your result, or they'll send you through email like whatever you need. And I think that's pretty good because that avoids like unnecessary trips to the doctor, which can waste your time. And also, like, because sometimes doctors' offices, like, they will hold you in there for like 3 hours just to tell you something that a pharmacist here can tell you in under 10 minutes. So I don't feel like it's very like money hungry-ish when you do go to seek medical care. Um, Now, speaking of medical care, one of the things that is important is that if you do move to a different country and you not decide, but you're on some sort of medication, or like maybe around allergy season you always need Claritin, like bring that stuff with you. Bring that stuff with you. I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, all the medicine that I need, this pharmacy has it already. Don't count on that, because you'll be in a situation where you may or may not have like everything that you need. And you don't want to be in a situation where they either don't have your medication or you're not able to get it soon enough. So make sure that when you're leaving your country, the country that you're coming from, make sure that you are um, that you are prepared. Always be prepared. Because I know a lot of us, when we leave, we're like, oh, I'm never going to get sick again. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. Like, make sure you just have a backup just in case. Because when you come to a new environment, it seems like people's bodies like to like break down on them a little bit, especially because your body's getting adjusted to a new environment, which is going to be actually my last topic that I'm going to talk about. So, body adjustments. When you come to Albania and you get, or I would say even when you move abroad, I'm not going to say that you're going to get sick, but I am saying that your body is going to react to having healthier foods. Your body is going to go through a detox. You're going to feel like when you get there, like, oh my God, this is the worst decision I've ever made. But no, it's just your body detoxing and welcoming in a new diet. One of the things that was very interesting to me was, I'm a Sprite lover. I love to drink Sprite, right? So when I moved to Albania, they don't have a lot of Sprite around, but they do have this thing called lemon soda, which tastes exactly the same as Sprite. like the Sprite lemon lime. So when you have it and when you drink it, like what threw me off was that it wasn't not that it made me sick, but I can feel my body really adjusting to the fact that this soda had real lemon. It had real lemon pieces at the bottom, and it was actually healthier because there was no high fructose corn syrup. There was none of those like 10,000 ingredients just to make like a can this big. You know what I'm saying? So you like adjusting to the diet that they have in Europe will be tricky at first because you're going to be used to having very, very sweet things. You're going to be used to having very, very salty things. And that was one of the things, I'm going to say that one last time, that got me a little bit upset because I'm like, why doesn't this chocolate taste so sweet? Why doesn't anything taste salty? But coming from America, like everything was either very sweet or very salty. And I noticed that when Europeans come over to America or they come over to more English speaking countries beside like the UK, they are met with like, they always complain about how sweet and how salty everything is. And it wasn't until I left America to realize that I realized like, oh my gosh, like this is very, very like, I was eating like pretty much like pounds and pounds of sugar without even knowing it, or pounds and pounds of salt. And we already know like there's a difference between natural salt and then natural sugar and everything like that. And though that's one of the things I'm going to get into as we move forward in this journey in Albania. So yeah, before I get off the live, I did want to know for anyone watching if you had any other questions, because living in Albania, you'll learn a lot and it doesn't hurt to ask any questions. We went over family reactions and how to stay connected with your family. We went over, just friendships and maybe just what it's like to, with those friendships fading away as you move. We went over the cost of living, the choice behind coming to Albania. And I'm just here to provide advice because, I'm learning too. But what I can say is that a lot of these adjustments are possible, but they are, like I said, adjustments. But it is so worth getting used to. I promise you, it's so worth it. So with that being said, I love the 2.3 thousand likes. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who joined, everybody who was here. I plan to be more consistent with my lives, I promise. And as soon as I get my thing set up for YouTube, we're going to go live on YouTube and go live on TikTok. So I'm planning to do both. So I plan to go live. I'm going to make it for every day if I can. Around this time, so it would be like 8 o'clock my time, which would probably be around 2 o'clock New York time. So keep that in mind. I will make sure to send out reminders whenever I can. And this was fun though. I have plenty more topics to talk about. Like we're going to talk about like social life, dating and we're just going to cover like everything that we covered today, but go into a little bit more depth. And but for now, I had such a fun time. I appreciate everybody's comments and questions, and I appreciate the gifters tonight. Thank you so much. And as always, if I see that you did gift, if I didn't already, I will follow you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But I hope you guys have a lovely evening, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. So you have a good night. Bye.